Hello, Steve White, Steve White's 89. Well, I had a night. Zack Snyder's Justice League was released. I didn't know where to find it in Australia. I thought we weren't getting it basically. Like Wonder Woman, we didn't get Wonder Woman, and I found out last morning that it's actually going to be on a streaming service called Binge here. So I thought, oh my god, I'm actually going to see it. So I thought, well, I got to find 4 hours in the evening to watch it, and then I thought, I do not remember Man of Steel. I do not remember Batman vs Superman. I watched them once in the cinema. I walked out. I don't really remember what happened to them. I didn't even remember that Wonder Woman was in Batman vs Superman. I just forgot so much of it. So it was good that I thought I probably should watch them first. Unfortunately, I was about an hour late getting started, and I forgot that Superman and Superman versus Batman was longer, and I was watching the extended version, which is half an hour longer as well. So that went for 3 hours. So I had 5 hours of Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman before I even got to Zack Snyder's Justice League, and then the streaming service was quite difficult. It actually I paused it. I went back a few seconds, early in the film, and I had to start again. Took a few minutes because I'm like counting the minutes trying to get this done. And then about less than halfway through, about an hour and 40 minutes through, right when Steppenwolf is fighting Mira, I paused it, and then it wouldn't start up. And I just turned it off and restart it. And it took literally about an hour and 20 minutes of messing around and losing my mind before I got it going again, because I thought, I'm not going to see the end of this. It's just not going to play. I can't get it to work. So by the time I finished watching the film, it was about 5 past 5 in the morning. So I started at about 6 or 7 or something. I don't know. So I was thinking I'd watch each film and I'd do a review of each one. But I've got like 6 pages of notes, and there's no way I can do that. So I'm just going to do a reaction to Zack Snyder's Justice League in relation to the 3 films, because watching them together was like watching a trilogy, and I'm really surprised at how well they held up, how consistent they were, because I didn't have a real, like I said, a strong memory of the first 2 films, and the last film was very different because of the whole Joss Whedon situation. So I went back afterwards and watched Justice League, but I didn't watch the whole film. I just sort of sped through and just watched the scenes that were different. But then the scenes that I did play as well that were in the other film were very different as well. So I just sort of watched that and really to try and get a sense of the difference between them. And there is such a huge difference. The tone, the way the characters are dealt with, the language, the dialogue, the colour, the quality of the effects. There is such a huge difference, and I'm really surprised by all of that. Now, going back to Superman and Man of Steel, I was originally very disappointed with it because I was expecting it to very much be in the universe of the original Superman and Superman Returns. I sort of expected Krypton to look like this unique crystal ice planet. Instead, it just looked like a regular planet with a lot of flying ships that look like bugs. And I was very disappointed, and that turned me off the film right then. That's the first 20 minutes, and I wasn't with them. I wasn't on board. It was very much like Star Trek when Vulcan wasn't this orange desert planet anymore. It was just like an Earth planet with some cities with buildings upside down, and that was it. It took the special, the unique out of them, and I feel like so many of these films, they're grey and they're all just too like Earth-based and reality-based and trying to be gritty and real, and not asking the audience to actually imagine or think or take a journey or anything. It's very much just trying to be real, and too real that it makes it not special, not super. So I wasn't on board with the first film, and it was better than I remembered. I may have been a little unfair on it. So it was a lot more enjoyable this time, and I just got more of a sense of the depth of the characters, and somehow I could see where Zack was going with Man of Steel when I didn't really see it the first time. When we got to Batman vs Superman, sort of the same thing. There was a lot of extra character scenes that it was hard to sort of tell which were the new scenes or which were the old scenes because, I didn't have a clear memory of the movie, but I could just feel the characters. You could tell they were deeper, they were getting more time to develop and be themselves, and there was, just more time with them. It wasn't rushed because so many of these films, they try and edit them down, they're just cutting everything they possibly can out, and it really kills so many moments and so many scenes and takes away. So there was that. And I did remember also being more vicious between Batman and Superman, and I didn't give Superman the credit that he deserved for having to kill Zod. I very much was just upset that Superman killed someone, and I couldn't sort of get past that, and I didn't really give the film much of a chance. And pretty much the same with Batman. I kind of forgot how quickly he changed and how quickly he just adapted to this, what we have to do to fix the situation, to defeat the enemy. He did snap out of, he had this obsession, but once he realized he was being insane and he was wrong, he didn't hold on to it. And it says a lot about his character, and that also explains his character in the next film, because when you get to Justice League, the main difference for me I found was just in the characters and the dialogue. And for example, Batman is forever trying to make amends for what he did in the other film. He's constantly trying to bring the people together. It's all about unity. Whereas you watch the Joss Whedon version, there's no depth there. There's no continuation of the characters. There's no follow through. It's just a lot of snarky, bitchy dialogue and just little scenes that are just clever for the sake of it. And it's really jarring. And really, really jarring after watching those 3 films with this whole consistent universe. And it really was like a trilogy. I know they plan to do more. Justice League was supposed to be a 2-part. I'm not sure exactly how they're planning to do it or what they were eventually going to do. I think the initial plans changed and then they kind of got dropped after the film. And I'm surprised that people were so harsh with it because it made $668 million. I mean, okay, it didn't make $1 billion, but it did make money. People went to see it. And same with Man of Steel. That made, I think, that made $668 million, sorry. Batman vs Superman made $873 million. They both cost about $225 to $250 to like $258 to $300 million. So in the around $250 million range to $300 million range. And one made nearly 700, one made nearly 900. So they weren't the flops that people are making them out to be. I get the studios didn't get as much money back, but for me, I care more about how many people saw the films, as opposed to, obviously they had a lot of reshoots with Man of Steel. It cost a lot more than it probably should have, and they didn't get as much of a return as they wanted, because I know the cinemas don't get all the money and all that. I know how all that works, but I care more about how many people see the films and what impact it has, and it's just really jarring to go between the films, like to watch the old Justice League afterwards. I tried to note down some of the things that were different, and there's a reason why I should not use paper notes, because I usually cannot find what I'm doing. Okay, for example, the tension between the characters, it's there in all the Joss Whedon scenes. There's tension. It's like he thinks character development is tension, or character is just tension and bitchiness. Like the scene between Wonder Woman and Batman where she's sort of saying you need to move on, and he's like, well, that's cheap coming from you. You spent a decade, obsessing over Steve Trevor, and she shoved him. I wanted to slap him, but I'm like, I'm getting sucked into that bitchy Joss Whedonness, and it's very Buffy, and not the good Buffy, the first 3 seasons, like the later Buffy. And there's a lot of jokes, catty banter, like there's the Aquaman speech where he's sitting on the lasso. On some level it's cute and funny, if you view it as just like extra, almost like watching Easter eggs or deleted scenes, because that's what it felt like the way I was watching the film afterwards. But when you sort of remember that's all you got, it really was disappointing, and I understand why people were that disappointed by it. And Clark, when Lois asked him after he's been resurrected what it was like to be dead, and he's like, it was itchy. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. And when they basically split the boxes, and they're both lying there, and Cyborg was like, my toes hurt, can you please explain to me the size of how my toe?" Said, "Oh," they're both like laughing, and one was like, "Children, I work with children." I'm like, just the unity and the just the working together and just the depth of those characters in the Zack Snyder version is so much different, and especially consistent, like I said, over the 3 films. When you watch the Joss Whedon scenes, it's just like caricatures of these characters. They're just like not outright, they're not like clowns, but they're just really so jarring. Yeah, and just little things like they had to rescue, it looked like researching, can't read my notes, rescuing the civilians. They spent a lot of time with this civilian family in this house, like establishing them so they can be rescued at the end. And I'm like, I remember at the time seeing that and thinking, who's this girl going to be? She must be someone important or something. And she's just no one. They were just there for the sake of, I don't know, just wrote them in there. Then the scene where the flowers start growing from the energy from the mother boxes and everything. These alien flowers, and like they just look weird. And what's the consequences of like alien technology on Earth? And just there's no seriousness to it. There's no reality to it. It's just not comical outright, but sort of that's how it feels. And just the very ending with Steppenwolf being attacked by his minions and dragged off, and that, as opposed to the much more brutal end that he met. I won't ruin it just in case. I can't imagine anyone's going to watch this before seeing it. I can't imagine a lot of people are going to watch this, but I can't imagine anyone watching it before seeing it. So I'm not going to ruin mild spoilers. I'm just going for mild spoilers here. I'm going to do a proper spoiler review later when I have like hours to like sit down and read my notes and maybe watch it again and do some comparisons, I think. Because I love comparing things like that. But I mean, there are a lot of very noticeable things. Like the first scene, the film starts off with the original Justice League, the Joss Whedon version, starts off with CGI removed mustache Clark or Superman talking to some kids on camera, and then you remember that he's gone, and they go into the morning, and the morning is very sort of chopped up, and you see Lois actually at work, where in the Snyder version she didn't go back to work for a while. That was more realistic, and how she got back, the conversation between Martha and that was a lot more real. Cyborg's history is different as well. In this, there was like some sort of explosion, because him and Barry are talking about, well, how do you become a superhero? And like there are little fickle sort of trite little things like that don't really important, just little random chats that are just in there that don't really connect to anything. And obviously you can see they're just like tacked on. And he just explains that, whereas in Zack Snyder's version, we see how he died, and you just get so much depth, and you care about these characters, and you understand them. They're not just these comic book cartoon characters; they're actually real people. And I'm surprised at how much depth and difference there is between those characters, and it's not just new scenes; it's also just the existing scenes are either different or they're expanded. They're longer. You get time with the characters to really get what's happening with them, get who they are, to understand their personality and that, and it just makes a huge difference. Because what's missing in Josh's version, aside from, it's like he took out all the real moments and the real development between the characters and just replaced them with bitchy, snitty banter and just lines that are clever for the sake of clever. And the only thing I'll give him credit for is I don't like Zack Snyder's sort of Chris Nolan inspired palette for the film. It's all grey and grim. They tried to actually brighten up Justice League when Joss Whedon did. It's the only thing I'll give him credit for, because it does look better, but the energy, like I said, between the characters, the unity and all that feels so much more warmer and brighter than the colour palette change in Whedon's version, which is really strange. But and the other thing is, I don't like the black Superman costume, so I like seeing Superman in the blue costume at the end. I do like that. So I know everyone else is like excited because we want to see the black, because they'd obviously seen pictures and they knew that was going to happen. So a lot of people were excited about that. But I want Superman in his old uniform. So, and then the very, very end, like, this is more of a bit of a comparison between the two films, but like the end where they have Barry and Superman like in the credits, like racing, like, because at the end of Josh's version, they have Lois Lane. It does seem a little bit more appropriate for Lois Lane to sort of end it off by talking about the situation, what they learned from life, and basically, you know, hope is real and heroes show us this and you have to look up into the sky. It was a bit nicer. It was kind of camp and it kind of cliched, but I kind of liked it. Whereas Zack's version, it's Cyborg's father talking, because his father was telling him some things on a recording and he smashed it before he got to basically trying to share how he felt about him as his son. And he went back, he fixed it, at the end of the film, fixed the recorder and listened to it. And you hear him talking about again, I can't find my notes. Well, you hear him talking about that's right, finding your place, having to stand, fight, heal, love, all this sort of stuff. It's the same sort of speech, but it's deeper and it ties into all the elements that are in the other films. There's the real continuity, whereas I mean, I think it's almost like Joss Whedon's version. I'd like to see a slightly edited version that's mostly just his material, and you can also view that as like an alternate, lighter sort of version, because the film is clashing with itself, as a lot of people said, and I didn't get that because I didn't spend as much time with the first two films, so I didn't feel that so much when I saw it. But so that's my feeling, that's my reaction to the film, that to watch the three together as like this whole full 7-hour universe was just something amazing. And Joss's little add-ons, it's like watching the outtakes at the end of a DVD after you've watched the film. That's what it felt like. And Josh is not the artist that not the artist that Zack is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as dealing with characters in a real way, because they were more human, they were more warm, you cared about them. It wasn't like the funny witty banter and that sort of attempt at humour and trying to connect people that way to the characters. It doesn't really work because it's very throwaway. It doesn't resonate. It doesn't stay with you. You forget about it after you've had the joke, and then they're not funny the second time, sort of thing. Whereas the more human, sort of character-driven stuff, you're going to feel that every time. I think I'm going to watch this film more and get more from it than Josh's film, because I know the jokes. So I can't believe I've been talking for 17 minutes. I was just going to talk about my reaction to Justice League and not really go into a lot of the detail. I thought I'd do a short little video and then I'll do some proper reviews later. But I kind of covered half of it. But it was really great. I'm glad I saw it. I thought I was going to have to wait a long time. I didn't. It's really great. If you haven't seen it and you're watching reviews to see if you should see it and you stumbled across this one and you actually watch the whole thing, watch it. I try not to spoil too much of it. It's really great. I don't know what else to say. It's just really good. I'm so glad I didn't just watch it on its own, because you really, really need to see all three films to appreciate them and to appreciate the journey that the characters take and you take with it. It's just I don't know, amazing, beautiful. It's just really, really great. As much as I love the original Donner films and that universe he tried to create before he got fired and they turned it into a comedy, it has its own greatness. I'm just going to go with the greatness. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought of the film. And I think I'm going to do a review of the first two films properly, and then I'll probably do a proper review of this with a comparison and that. But I really need to sort of sit down and script it and sort of get it sorted out a bit. So, because they're very long, very dense, lots of things happen. I'll just get lost in the details if I tried to like actually go over the story and what happened with the characters and that. It looks like this is going to be a 20-minute video. I can't think of anything else to talk about. I mean, I found a few little odd things, but I'll just save that for the next video. So thanks for watching. If you did, I'm going to go try and recover, because I just spent 7 hours, eight and a half hours with the gap where I couldn't actually get the film to start up again. And it was quite an ordeal, but it was worth it. Okay, thanks.